Yes, thank you very much, Sandra.
Thank
Glad
you.
to be-
Back to you, please.
Thanks for the intro.
Yes, sir. Please, you can have the floor.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank everybody for taking the time on a busy day like this to be part of our webinar. We're kind of really excited to go through this. So right away, let me share my screen and then I would get right into it. Yeah, that works. Okay, I think you guys can see my screen and it's a full screen, I assume.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's begin. So we're going to do a quick runover. So of course, while everybody's here, everybody wants to see exactly how we achieved it, and we're going to get into that in a moment. So just this starting screen. It's just okay. Why are we here? So this is about supercharging, the user experience, African's investor experience, and how could we leverage what happened last year. So let's get straight to it. So what we wanted to show here and kind of have a discussion with everybody really is this. So this is the portfolio that we had last year that we used our this tool IMDT to select. And as of yesterday precisely, yesterday was the 29th, when we looked at the portfolio, it's exactly at 132%, still over 130%. And we made this selection in late December of 2022, just at the beginning of the year. It was kind of experimental. So we spent quite, just to give you a little bit of a background, over the last several years, multiple iterations, we've tried to say, okay, how do we figure out how to do investing in the right way, right? And then we spent time building this thing, testing it, doing back testing. And then we said, okay, in order to really try this thing, instead of just talking grammar and English, we need to put our money where our mouth is. And we actually use real money. So these are an actual portfolio that we have and use real money to invest. So to give a very quick summary, we used the tools and the analytics that we had to select the stocks. And I will go through how one of those stock selections happened and exactly what happened. We even sent out a few newsletters. Now, on this side of the screen here, on the left-hand side, you see the actual portfolio. My colleague, Amawale, was going to go through how we actually did the trades using Media Trader. Then on the middle side, you can analyze your portfolio. Now, one of the questions I believe I saw, and we're going to be taking some of those questions later on, was, okay, how do you know whether your selection, or is there a bubble in the market? I think that was the question. Now, is there a bubble? I can't say. I mean, those bubbles tend to be known after the fact. However, one of the interesting things that our AI does in order to help us answer that question is that you can see that it shows the weighted average beta of the portfolio, which is 1.4. For one is the norm, or one is the average, which is the ASI. The benchmark is 1, which is the ASI. So greater than 1 usually means more risk, less than 1 means less risk. So we're carrying about 40% more risk than the ASI. However, we're doing 132%. We're doing more than double the return. So from a risk returns perspective, we're doing pretty well. Then the other thing it does, I'm just giving a quick overview about this, is that each item in the portfolio, we have these signals, and this is one of the things we learned along the way, which I'll drill into, is that, okay, yes, you've bought, but where are you at that point in time? Are you still in good shape? Should you keep it or should you let it go? So our system would, using our AI, would actually automatically analyze your portfolio in real time on a daily basis, like you have your own personal advisor. So it says access cover right now is a strong buy, and the signals it uses, and some of these signals we're going to drill into, you see in a moment. And then Stanbic, for example, is a strong seller right now. Now, we didn't sell it because everything was just strong buy. So we said, okay, if we sell this thing while we're doing this presentation, it's going to look like, oh, this whole thing is just kind of a funky thing. And funnily enough, the Stanbic sell signal for us came about, I think it was November, sometime in November. And if we had sold Stanbic back then, we would have, Stanbic has been, according, if you look at the chart, Stanbic is down 13%. So we would have saved it about 13%. So probably in the next day, no later than tomorrow, we are selling Stanbic, according, because the signal seems to be working. And then the right-hand side here is just a summary. So this is a quick overview. So that's why we're here. Now, why did we do this? Why did we go about doing exactly what we did, right? So bear with me. We're going to go into the actual tools and start to drill into them, but just to provide some background and perspective. So why we did it was that we looked at the situation. A lot of Nigerians trade crypto or trade FX, or sometimes people say Nigerians are risk adverse. That's not true at all. We found out from our analysis and our research. The real problem was that in the market that we were in, people did not have the right tools. You could talk to a broker, quite right, and say, okay, what do I buy? Yeah, they'll give you a recommendation. But then too, because of the last bust that happened, people kind of feel that, the whole thing is a little bit skewed. And personally too, I don't want to be talking to brokers myself. So instead, I want to be able to relate straight directly to the brokers. So straight to what I can see and I can handle myself. So what we did was to say, okay, what exactly are the issues? And we realized that the tools were not there. The ability to do charts, right? The signals, like what are the right signals to use, like the MACD, RSI, stochastics, the ability to do backtesting. Backtesting meaning that if you think something you've thought about is works, can I go back in time and try that experiment based on actual data? Then the ability to do research. Well, we do technical analysis quite all right, but it's always good to validate it using fundamental meaning like the company's actual annual reports and stuff like that. So this thing has over 20 years worth of that. And then can you do it in a cheap way? Cheap way meaning, the professionals have things like a Bloomberg terminal and all that stuff, but it's very expensive. A cheaper way would be something you can pay as you go kind of model, and which is what we have implemented. So that's exactly what informed how we're doing. So I've described why we're here, what we're going to show you, why we decided to do this. Then the question becomes, who exactly are we? Who is InfoWARE? I'm not going to bore you with too much stuff, just to provide you a quick context. So InfoWARE, we are basically the infrastructure company. We call ourselves the operating system for business. Our core business really is providing investment banking software to the top echelons in the Nigerian and African ecosystem. So just to provide some context, 7 out of the top 10 brokers on the NGX use our platform. Close to 80% of the trades of the NGX is traded on our platform. The last 3 years, for example, these are the links, is verifiable. 7 out of the top 10 brokers consistently over the last year, different of them, they are all using InfoWARE. So we have a very highly scalable system. We have the data and we have the expertise. Our OEMS is certified in 4 exchanges across Africa. So even the 3 of the top 4 fintechs in Nigeria actually use the InfoWARE API under the covers in order to provide the services that they provide. So that's just kind of who we are. Again, very quickly, our mission statement is to enabling financial prosperity across Pan-Africa. This is exactly what we're doing. This is why we're doing this. We want to enable financial prosperity, enable enable not just financial prosperity, but financial inclusion. So some of our customers just won't bore you. Okay, now the meat of what we're going. So what we intend to do is that if you want to follow along, you can go to this link, www.infowarelimited.com/IMDT, and then from there you can navigate, you can see an overview, and you can navigate straight to the InfoWARE Market Data Terminal itself. Now, I'm going to run through a quick set of slides that explains what I'm going to present, and then I'm going to deep dive into the actual application itself, and then we're going to use Oando as an example, because we actually sent out a newsletter, which some of you may have seen. Then we'll walk through exactly how the Oando process, how we made the selection. Now, just so you know, it's a next generation trading and analytics terminal. It's user-friendly, extremely user-friendly. That's how it was built for. There is no installation required. It's cloud-based. It's 100% web-based. Even though it's web though, but it has the capabilities of a desktop type application because it uses underlying technology WebSockets. So you're getting real-time market data. It's real time all the time. So it empowers, you can trade, or even if you don't have a brokerage account, you just want to do research, it's fine. It allows you to do that. If you want to trade directly while you're doing your research, you can do that. Again, we'll drill through some of that. So a quick summary before we get into it. Like I said, real-time market data. All the boards available in Nigerian markets are available. We have unparalleled charting and backtesting capabilities. Trading signal, this is really where the power of this thing comes from. That's what we learned over time. Not just to provide data, but to provide very, very clear indicators as to exactly where you are. Should you take action? If you want to take action, okay, can you do more research on it? Provides timely buy-sell recommendations. These are recommendations based on technical indicators. They are not human generated. There's actually just a technical. So you have to still do some due diligence before you make any actual or take any actual action based on it. You can easily identify the stocks that are moving in a particular, actually both directions. The ones you might want to sell or the ones you might want to buy. So if you already hold something, you can look at what we call the bearish signals and use that to make a determination whether you want to continue to hold. The most common indicators and all kinds of extras like the RSI, the MACD, stochastics, all of that is there. Okay, so the other interesting thing, and which I would kind of recommend when we get into, I'll show you the tabs, is that you can create your own personalized watch list. Watching the entire market of over 200 or 300 stocks, including all the ETFs, the mutual funds, the bonds, and all that stuff. I think it's over 300 by now. It can be a little bit overwhelming. Most people would tend to narrow their stuff down to some set. Like in my case, for example, I would prefer to look at things that have a lot of liquidity. Liquidity meaning they are tradable, easily tradable, because you don't want to buy something who's going up by the time you want to sell. You find out there are no sellers and then you're stuck with the thing. And you also want to buy things where when you're buying, you're not the one who by influencing the market. If a stock has very little liquidity, if you're going in there and trying to sell and you have a large holding, you can actually depress the price. So you want to watch the number of trades, you want to watch the amount of volume and the amount of value traded on a daily or at least on a 90-day moving average basis. So all these things can provide all of that for you. Then there are trading commands. We'll show a couple because we don't want to overwhelm everybody. Trading commands basically are commands that if people that use Bloomberg, you understand me, you just type in a command, you click on it, and you can see a bunch of data that you can now use for doing additional drill downs. Then the other very key thing here is that the fundamentals I mentioned that already, things like the company name, the analyst information. We have a lot of analyst research open up. It's free to all. We don't restrict. All brokers can, a lot of broker information, send their analyst reports, the analyst research, so you can get that here. And you can get it historically. We have maybe up to 10 years worth of that kind of information from all different variety of stock brokers and research institutions. Then the other thing, one other key thing here is the price alert and triggers. Price alert is that you can set, look, if you buy, you probably might not want to be in a situation where you are monitoring the market on a daily basis. Most people are not, they have full-time jobs. So if you buy, yeah, you might want to do your research in the evening, but one thing we have is this price trigger. The price trigger is say, look, if I buy this thing right now, if it reaches up to 15 or 20% gain, I want to be able to sell some or sell all. Then you can set a price trigger so that when that time comes, when you hit that trigger, you are notified automatically, and then you can immediately take some action. Down the road, we're going to extend this thing in such a way that the action would involve even just putting the trade into the market. But that needs to be done in a way that people who are going to be doing it, they understand exactly what they're doing. So, but that's it. It's an easy thing to do. So we put it after there's a clear awareness so that people don't go and shoot themselves in the foot. So these are some of the views I run through this. This here. So one of the things it does is that when you're in the market view and you click on anything, it will show you, for example, I'll show you, it shows the bid offer. So you can see the pressure, whether there's a buying or selling pressure. That's this red bar down here. You can see my mouse. Then here you can see whether the straight indicator is it a strong buy, strong sell, neutral. And if you click on it, it shows you to you in more detail. So like in this particular one, Dangote Sugar, when this thing was, when we had a screenshot, it was a strong buy. Now, this is not some sort of a speculative thing. The signals themselves are indicated here, right? There are 13 signals being looked at, and 6 of them are neutral and 7 are all buy. So, and that's why that indicator is there. And those signals, by the way, is what we are also going to use to drill in and then show you exactly when we are doing it or undo. So these are some of the signals. So we have a lot of signals. So for example, you can see here, the first one, maybe not sure if you can see, but when you guys log in, you see bullish high price crossover 15-day moving average. Now, the ones we put in bracket after bullish or something when we say high, those are weighed higher in our signal stuff. So these signals are not all linear, they're not all equal in strength. And you're going to see that the ones that tend to be weighed higher, you're always going to find much fewer stocks on them because they don't happen all the time. For example, like the very first one here, price crossed above 15-day moving average. The 0 there means on this particular day when the screenshot was taken, 7th of August, there was 0. The bullish high where the RSI crossover, and RSI crossover is usually when RSI crosses from 30 across above, it was below 30 and across above, because that's the critical point in time when you really want to look at that stock. Because when a stock, typically from a purely analytical standpoint, making that crossover from below 30 to above 30 is really a signal of momentum. So you want to look at that stock and say, okay, should I buy this guy? Should I probably jump on that bandwagon, on that momentum right now? The same thing for the MACD. MACDs. So some of the signals that everybody has their own preferences, right? That I look at very, very closely a lot of time at the RSI and the MACDs, because they are usually very good in predicting is not the right word, of signaling that something is happening. You still need to do some due diligence, but that's the kind of signal. Okay, then these are some of the commands we have. I think last check, maybe up to 100 commands that you can use to analyze the stocks more. What is really nice about this is that you can go back to any point in time. I'll show you a little bit of this in a moment. But even on this chart, you can see when you pick any point in time, any day, you can go back 3 years ago, 5 years ago. It will show you the first one is the percentage change for that day. You can see for the 5 days from that day, that's the change. The week to date change for that, the month to date change, the quarter to date change, and the year to date change. So you can go back to any point in time, and you can see exactly the information. Another command that I suspect if we have time, I'll show you is the dividend yield one. Because once somebody asks a question, or some people prefer to buy stocks with high dividend yields. So they might just want to focus on those. Because the benefit there is that you're getting dividends. Instead of putting your money in the savings account, putting on that thing, they're still going to pay you dividend, which will usually outstrip what you get in the savings account. And at the same time, a lot of the time you get capital gains. So you win both ways. So we show you the command is H yield or Y. Anyway, we'll search it. It's searchable. Then we have a lot of charts. Let me watch for the time. A lot of charting capabilities that we have that's built into the system. So people that are very good with technical analysis, you can jump in there. You can measure, you can pick any time range that you want. One of the things that it does that I use a lot really is that if I want to see the gain of between any 2 dates, I'll pick the period and then choose the exact days. I get a chart and I see exactly the gain between those 2 periods. That I find to be very useful when especially when I'm kind of doing pseudo back testing. So if I had bought the stock at this point, between that and that, how much would I have gained? Then I can use that to reevaluate my trading strategy and then whether I want to solidify on that or not. So other thing, news, information. So you want to trade, you've done your analysis. Is there any news about this thing that maybe make for additional usefulness? One of the things we are going to be doing down the road is something called sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is when you use either social media and the news information, just raw textual information, and you crunch that using artificial intelligence to give you a sentiment level. And that will also add to the signal strength to indicate whether something's a buy or not. You know, again, it uses artificial intelligence sentiment. There's like an entire science behind that. But let me not bore you guys with that. So this is a personalized watch video that I already mentioned. The personalized price trigger. You can create your own what simulated portfolio where you don't want to actually spend money. Because I think if I bought this at this point, what would it be like? So you can try and experiment all within the same ecosystem. The trade blotter is really for the professionals and for people who are doing things like sponsored access or they have sub-broker. It gives you a full screen of in which you can do everything. You can cancel, you can replace your trade. If your broker decides to provide this facility, then you can use it. It's really, really powerful. You can see multiple trades. And it allows you to open multiple windows. So like this, for example, if you have multiple screens, you can open a particular bid and a particular offer in separate screens. So you're not looking at them one by one like you do in the market view. So this is a massively powerful trading tool especially for more geared towards professionals. Okay. So I'm going to now start doing a deep dive into the actual demo itself. Okay. So I assume you can see my screen. And I'm showing the EDR login, the IMDT login page. Can you please confirm?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So I'm going to log in. And so what I'm going to do here is just give a quick overview of the terminal. Yeah. So one of the first things we do is that if you get this message, you just say an indication. It's basically tell you that because it's real-time market data, you can see the screen is already highlighting behind. And the market is actually open. It's 12:29 right now, so it's open. to be aware that ISP buffering sometimes can affect this thing. You see, when you see those blinking stuff, it means, yeah, you saw Zenith Bank, it means the price just changed. Zenith Bank's price just changed at that point in time. So if I click on Zenith Bank, for example, I'm looking right now at the bid offers. So, well, it's red already. Red means that as of today, Zenith Bank is trading lower. I mean, it's trading lower than it was yesterday. And it kind of shows because you can see that there's more selling pressure as of today, 80% to 19%. This is just to give you a very quick indicator. And you can see the bids and the offers right here. You can, for the guys that understand this thing, you can either look at it from a price book perspective, or click on this to see it from an order book perspective, and you can see this stuff blinking. Again, like I said, it's completely real-time. You can see the exact timing up on the top right-hand corner here. Okay, so I know I need to rush through this very quickly. Now, one of the first things we decided to quickly mention, because we are aware that there's going to be a lot of questions that we can answer. So a quick one is that we set up this in the social, we have this message board or social chat ecosystem here. We set this up, a webinar discussion group kind of thing. So anybody can go in there. If you click on it like this, there's just a quick comment that I put in there yesterday, and you can ask your comments, put additional questions, and the team, the entire team, and sure, the community, anybody can step in and try and answer the question, and the community can engage. So I just want to quickly put that out there. It has the ability for you to up and down vote. If people are saying things that you don't like, you can down vote it, you can up vote it, or you can reply to a specific message that anybody may have posted. So we'll continue the engagement after this webinar through here. Just want to quickly put that there. Another thing I want to quickly point out before I drill in is that we have this education tab. So people are not left in the lurch, right? The education tab, one of the things we're doing is that we've already created a number of videos. These are, and so you can use these videos to quickly familiarize yourself with certain aspects. And we intend to continue building more videos into this. We actually have more, but we showcase them. Then we also intend to document or at least the commands such that you can easily know exactly what each command is doing. Now, having said that, why are we here? So I want to use Oando as a case study. So in Oando's case, what happened was that if you guys saw the webinar that we sent out a while back, right? And I have the webinar, I mean, I actually have it in front of me, not webinar, newsletter, sorry. So last year, for example, when the trigger happened was, let me go, one of the cool things, best things about this is you can go to any point in time, you can go 5, 10 years back, and you can see exactly the situation. So Oando's case, it happened, I believe it was August 7 that we noticed when the trigger happened, or at least the signal stuff. So let me select August 7. So August 7, right, it was a MACD crossover. So we look at the MACD crossover. So in August 7, right, click on this MACD crossover. And it shows up, and these are the three. One of these things here is you see this IIT arrow. It's actually an aggregate indicator that our AI uses. So every day we do a computation that's an aggregate of over 30 attributes, maybe 30 to 40 different attributes. And we try and sum them up into one single number. Think of it this way. It's like, instead of trying to look at too many things, like in economics, for example, the one attribute that's used is something called GDP as a measure, an aggregate measure that you can use to compare multiple countries. So what is an aggregate measure that we can potentially use to compare all of the stocks, everything that's listed on the exchange? That's the number that we came up with. So you can see that when we look at this, out of these three that showed up on that day, the IITR, which is InfoWARE, I don't remember the acronym, I'll put it out in that message board, something is reading 15.7, right? The RSI is 49, so it's above 30, but not below 70. The number of trades, 81, it's trading reasonably well. The volume is reasonable also. So we looked at it, and between these three, well, the other one is an index. The other two actually index, well, Nigerian breweries and then an index that you can trade. Nigerian breweries has an IITR of 1.55, maybe not. So we said, okay, let's take a look at Oando. Now, to take a look at Oando, we click on this. That's to bring up the chart. Now, to bring up the chart, as of today, this is just looking at the last 3 months worth of, and you can open multiple charts, by the way. One of the nice things about this is even though it's a web application, it behaves like a desktop application. So you have the best of everything in the world, right? Okay. So let me show you now what you can do. So let me go back to that August 7th. So the way I can do it between August 7th and now, I simply, by the way, before I do that, I can choose to go for a period of 1 year. By default, you can pick up to 5 years, but or if you don't, if 5 years is not good for you, you can then select any custom time range. And this is one of the things I was explaining. You see, once you select any time range at all, it will immediately tell you what the gain in absolute terms and the gain in percentage terms. So 1 year from today, Owando has gained 58%. That's not chicken change, if I may say so myself. But let me not be distracted. Let me go back to exactly when we did our selection, which I believe was August 7th. And if I were to use this, it's just going to look far better than you would think. But let me pick this signal August 7th. So August 7th, if I pick August 7th here, let's even say I use today as a reference point. Remember, it's real time, so the market is still open. So it's actually going to be using the price as of right now, more or less. So between August 7th and today, Owando, when that signal that you see in the background triggered, is done 157%. Remember, the entire market itself, even last year, approximately did 40-something%. So this is doing way better. So it means this signal wasn't a bad idea. So now, what else can you do about this in terms of knowing whether you want to buy or trade this thing? Now, as of the point in time when this thing happened, then, right, one of the things that we look at is, okay, I would typically select, I want to see the moving averages, and I'll explain this in a moment. So right now, the blue mark, right, is the 15-day moving average, and the purple, I'm not best at colors, I guess, I call this purple, is the 50-day moving average. From a momentum trading standpoint, right, if the 15 is above the 50, it means that thing is usually indicates a short-term momentum trend. And right now, it's still above. So, and I think you see from our signals that actually it's still a strong buy. So this guy is actually good. Then the other thing is that is the price above the 15. You can see it kind of hit it here and then it bounced off it. So Owando still appears to be in pretty good shape from a momentum standpoint. And the MACDs also indicate there's a way you can read this in the histograms above 0. By the way, as you move your mouse, you actually see the exact numbers. So to help you make and to have an informed decision. Now, one of the things you can also do is that you can click on this volume. So the volume shows how much trading volume has been occurring, right? If the volume is thinning, it may be an indication of something, but if the volume is increasing, it may also be an indication of a particular trend. Of course, sometimes the way it works is that if the volume is increasing but the price is going down, it means selling pressure. If the volume is increasing but the price is going up, it means buying pressure, kind of indicative roughly. So the volume, from what I see here, is still on average, still looking okay. I mean, on average, it doesn't look like it's changed much. Then the other thing you can do is that you can change your indicator from MACD to RSI. Right. So we change that, and I look at the RSI right now, 69. Well, getting to be approaching that 17 mark. If you start to exceed 70, that might be an overbought status. So you might want to, take something off the table a little bit if you want to. The other things you can do is you can actually choose you can choose a candlestick chart or an area chart if you prefer this. I tend to prefer the line chart. There's a candlestick chart there. So right from here, one of the things that I use is to compare with the market in general. So you can either use the ASI or you can use the NGX 30. The reason for the NGX 30 is that the ASI is a very broad market. It's an overall market as a whole. I mean, that's fine. But a lot of time is the top NGX 30 that tends to drive the market. So, they tend to match with the ASI itself. But if I look at this, okay, it looks like the ASI itself is still in bullish territory. The 15 is way above the 50. And of course, the NGX itself is way above the 15. When this thing starts to converge, then you probably want to start watching closely to see if you want to either exit some positions or reduce your holding in certain positions. So that's the charting capability that that this thing provides. So let me go back here again. Now, the other thing is that, okay, you might say, okay, look, what about financial statements, right? You can have the fundamentals, directors, and all that stuff, but let me take a quick look. Again, I'll expect everybody to go through this, but let me click on fundamentals. The idea of fundamentals is that, okay, if especially some people, so 2024, there are no statements yet. But for 2023, there are two statements here, right? It actually shows the number of downloads. Now, for this, if I click on this, I want to see the statement, the last statement that I have. As you can see, it pops out, and I can actually expand this, expand my screen, and I can now look at this. Okay, this is their group, this is their performance. So what I'm trying to make here is that this is not just giving you some sort of small itemized, say, analytics. It's end-to-end. The way we like to put it is that it's a cradle to grave kind of thing, where you have the entire ecosystem in which you can make a clear, informed decision. You don't, you can still go to your broker, at least if you are engaging with your broker, you can have a more informed decision. It's like your own personalized advisor. So now I've showed you that. Now I mentioned the watch list is here, the price triggers are there. Now, the other one thing I want to quickly mention, right, so that I can give an opportunity for my colleague to show you the trading aspect of this thing, and then we can go back to question and answers, and I can quickly give you an overview of this. We'll probably be doing more of this as time goes on, is the trading commands. Now, I had said that one of the, let me just quickly, a very quick way to you can do a search, right? So like, let's assume I say dividend, as I just type anything at all. That's the guy I was looking for, actually. As you type, it narrows down the commands so that you can see what has dividend in the name that you can search, that you can go for. So this one here, because I know I saw a question about somebody asking about how do I, find the stocks that have high dividend yield. So this is the market as of right now, right? So the ones with high dividend yield are these ones here. Or basically everything in the market is showing it. Of course, these things, I can do a chart, I can see the fundamentals, all of that is there that I kind of showed you. So I can see that these are the ones with high dividend yield. Now, you can do some additional filtering. This is showing NCR. I'm not so sure how well NCR is traded. So if I go, like I said earlier on, you do not want to generally jump into things that have very thin trade. So this guy, only 8,000 has been traded today. Quantity issued is that, only 2 trades. Might I want to trade this? Maybe not. So let me show you how you can narrow things down to maybe a more interesting segment. If, for example, you are interested in trading, say, the banking sector, or maybe the NGX 30, what you can do, let me show you two very quick ways. I can go to the index something belongs to. We have a command there where you can see the index component. So I want to trade the NGX 30, so I just type in GX 30, and it's narrow. You can actually see my screen, reducing. So I just narrowed it down to the NGX 30, right? And from NGX 30, so I'm now looking at the stocks in the NGX 30, which is much smaller, and I can start to look at their dividend yield. So if I look at Guinness, you're like, Guinness dividend yield right now is 10.98%. It's almost like you're holding a fixed deposit. So unless there's something wrong, or although their price is going down right now, but today, since the market is a little bit on the downside, so the bottom line here is that you can now see, okay, here is your selection. Immediately, you can tell of the stock with the high dividend yield as of today, right now. You can see exactly their performance. Their current today, this is minus 9%. Their last 5 days, the week to date, the month to date, the quarter to date. So if you want something that's yielding very, very high, that's doing very high returns and yet providing good dividend, you can see all of them right here. Then the other things you also can see is that you can see the beta, the risk profile, the current P ratio, the earnings per share, again, the trading volume that's involved, the quantity issues, the last trade, the sector, and all that stuff. So Guinness is doing 95 million, 71. Yeah, these are all, they are not mainly traded, they are being reasonably traded. And you can see the stocks you want to go for. Now, doing for time. So let me try and round up so I can give my colleague time to get it. Two other commands I just want to quickly mention, although when I was talking about this to my team, they said some of these things might appear a little too complicated. NGX perf, you can type it in directly, or you can go back here, for example. You can see all the commands that you can go through there. But because I know the name, so let me just cheat and click on that. Did I do that right? I still have a filter. I should remove the filter. Yeah. Okay. So this is the NGX perf. This is going to show all NGX, all entities. For example, the first one here is actually an ETF. The second one is an ETF. And these are the ones that are doing pretty well today. So the ETFs seem to be going gangbusters today in terms of performance. Yet to date, wow, this guy has done 100%. That's actually something people don't do a lot of. Buying an ETF is like you're buying a basket, which kind of reduce your risk, and you're letting professionals kind of do the stock selection for you. So you can see immediately the performance is fantastic right now. Again, that is the reason why people are saying whether the market is in a bubble or not. So another one that you can do is PC, if I remember correctly, right? PC is a peer correlation matrix. A peer correlation matrix is, I want to see stocks that are similar to, say, Access Corp. I select that, and it automatically shows me, because Access Corp is a holding company, right? And so it shows me these other entities that look similar to that. There are hundreds of commands. These are just some of my favorites. Another one is relative valuation, right? And people that use Bloomberg will understand some of these things. So that's another one there. So I think I've gone through most of the things I want to go through. So I'm going to let pause for a moment for Sandra to see there are more questions, and then hand it over to Wally to show how the trading terminal, how EDR Trader, how you can now use EDR Trader to perform some of these trades. There are lots and lots of commands. Just a quick summary. The other thing is, it's not just, yes, there are broker research capabilities. Brokers can publish their own stuff here. You can see that. Another thing we do is that we also carry a lot of information like CBM monetary information. You can see all kinds of CBM monetary information that's available, like all the certificates that's listed all in real time. So with that, let me pause here. Sandra, let me hand it over to you if you have any questions, and then Wale can also take it from here.
Okay, thank you so much, Uwa, for that session. I hope that attendees were attentive to it. So a couple of questions from the Q&A session. Okay, let me see. So we had one saying that, what technical signals do you use or would you recommend for trading? I don't know if I've asked that already.
Yeah, you did ask the question already, and this is kind of what I showed already. I said there are lots of them. There are really lots, but a couple of my favorites I mentioned is the RSI and the MACD. There are a few other ones, like things like the moving averages, especially when something is crossing about the 15, that's short-term trend. I didn't mention the 200-day moving average, but 50 and you want to, at least I will look at the 50 over the 200, especially for the broader market, to know the broader market sentiment. If the 50 is above the 200 for the ASI, then it means the broad market on the long-term basis is still on an uptrend. But if those 50 starts to converge towards 200 or starts to cross below, most of the time you want to look at really keeping low positions, because it means the market's in a downtrend. So there are lots of signals, but these are just some of the ones that I tend to take a close look at.
Okay, thank you, Uwa, for that insight. So following the insight from 2023, right? What do you think this year would look like? Like, how can one find good dividend stocks to actually buy? So the question is, following the insight from the past year and considering how the market has done over a period of time, specifically on last year. So what do you think this year would look like? How can beginners, professionals find good dividend stocks to actually buy? What are the insights for this year?
So I don't consider myself a predictor of the future or anything like that. I don't even try. We make investment banking software, and we're making this so that the general public can have a better, not just a better handle, but a better chance at building their own wealth. So what I'll say to that is that you look at it, you use this as a tool, use this thing as a tool that provides you insights and capabilities to put you at an equal footing with the professionals. So that it doesn't look like you are standing on the wrong side of the equation almost all the time. So when it comes to what this year is going to look like or not look like, I have attended a few economic trend lines or webinars and stuff like that. And as of now, right, the market is in a bull run. Is there a bubble? Well, I can say, like I said, I looked at our portfolio and the average PE ratio is actually still reasonable, at least our holding, the holding that I showed on the screen. So the chance that there's still a bull run. Now, having said that, one of the nice things about the current market is that it's primarily being driven by internal investment, meaning it's not foreign investors. The trouble with foreign investors is that they usually call it hot money. When they come and they disappear, then the market tanks. So the fact that this thing is being driven entirely mostly by internal money means that even if there's a dip, the chances are it won't be a sustained dip, and the chances are it hopefully will be a shallow dip. Like one where foreign money just runs out and then causes that massive drop that causes all that problem. So the technical signals indicate that it doesn't see a lot of trouble ahead, but the rise though is a little bit too fast. So I personally would encourage some level of caution. And maybe if you have hold, if you're buying, be cautious or wait for a little bit of a dip. Eventually a dip has to happen, and a dip might be a buying opportunity. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so we hear you when you talk about technical signals and all that the IMDT channel have for our users. So speaking of technical signals, right? I understand that the system is powered by AI. For new beginners, and not just AI really, some of the communication that has gone out has said that InfoWARE had a couple of stocks in their basket and they've gained over 130% within 1 year, monitoring those stocks. So for new beginners, really, how would this AI-powered system help them? I, for example, I'm a new beginner in the market, and we see a lot of communications that go out. Really, there's really no way to bring this entire data together. What advice do you have for people like myself who are new beginners? How would the AI-powered system help us to navigate the entire ecosystem?
I think maybe that should be a segue for us to hand over control over to Wale so that he can show how using Idiot Trader can help beginners actually make that selection, even without going through IMDT and going through this entire thing. Idiot Trader already has this curated set of selected stocks automatically that you can just select from. So I think maybe we can hand it over to Wale so that Wale can show everybody how you can do that. If you're a beginner, you don't want to go through the headache of doing all of this.
Okay. So thank you so much, Uwa, for that detailed session.